According to new polling by Ipsos, 4 in 10 Canadians will be focused on their financial well being in the new year, with 48% of those saying they will be doing their best to pay off debt despite growing inflationary pressures. Of those pressures, the same number, 48%, indicate the price of groceries as the main barrier to financial security. That's up 36% from last year. Other big movers include housing costs, with a 19-point jump year over year, and our ability to save, which is up 10% since last December. We know the financial health is on the radar of Canadians, but so is their physical health, with 48% of people saying it's high on their priorities list. Those 18 to 34 and 35 to 54 are more likely to be on the 2022 fitness train, while less than half of those 55 and older have fitness as a priority in the next year.
So when we look at people's financial security, the two big issues, there are actually three big issues that they have, are first of all a sense of debt. So when we ask them what their priorities are in terms of their New Year's resolutions, for the people who pick finances, which rank pretty high in terms of the types of New Year's resolutions that people have, the number one thing that they have is dealing with debt. But then when we start unpeeling this and picking away at it, we see that there's a few specific things that really have them concerned. One of them is the cost of living. And it's the sense that the cost of everything is going up, but particularly groceries and food. So there's some concerns about that. And then one that's been a perennial problem over the space of the last couple of years has been the cost of housing, particularly in Ontario and British Columbia. Given that when we ask them about in their New Year's resolutions how they're going to improve things, it seems like they still feel that they've got some work to do. So for example, paying down debt, putting money into retirement tends to be a fairly high priority for Canadians, but also maybe taking advantage of what they've been seeing in the stock market. So a desire to do things like increase their investments. When you look at how younger people feel and how older people feel, younger people are very concerned about what's going on. And when it comes to financial issues, the most concerned. So the generational pressure that exists on young people around the issue of, starting in housing or paying for housing is really considerable. The issue of even contemplating being able to pay for retirement at some point is so far off that it's they're pessimistic about that. The one that really seems to be emerging as an issue is the mental costs. Physical issues, obviously there's always New Year's resolutions that have to do with going to the gym and getting eating better and doing all those kinds of things. But what seems to be emerging specifically around the issue of COVID is the mental health risks. Half of the people that we've interviewed said that they have concerns with their mental health and their coping, and maybe even things like, for example, alcohol and other types of addictions. So Canadians are, as much as they see, being at home as an opportunity to maybe get things restructured and get them going in the right direction, whether it's, better exercise or better eating or whatever, there's also the temptations that go along with being cooped up. That are having their effect on Canadians. And the cost, as much as it is physical and financial, seems to be mental. And when you take a look around the issue of the pandemic and you compare 2020 to 2021, people feel less, I would say, emotionally urgent about the pandemic. They're learning to live with it to a certain extent. They're figuring out that it goes through cycles. If you look at that very high level of vaccination that we have in this country, people feel that they are doing the right things, that there are actually some solutions to some of these issues. So it's there's I wouldn't say silver linings in the clouds, but maybe some glimpses of sunshine as we move through the summer solstice and we move into the winter solstice and we move into the new year. That possibly that things could get better. So we haven't lost our sense of hope.